On June 7th, 2022, that was the day of the LA City primary election, I recognized that I had serious work ahead. That evening, I knew that I needed to redouble my efforts to be in community, meet with community, and hear from the community if I was going to gain your trust and earn your vote. And that work ethic has been with me every single day since. I walked and knocked on doors in every street in the district, and it has shaped who I am and how I govern today. As I worked every corner of this district, I heard time and time again, that part of the 15th gets all the resources. And my neighborhood has been forgotten and left to survive on its own. We went on to win, thank God. And on December 10th, I made a choice that no recent council member had made. I was going to have my swearing-in ceremony in Wilmington, where I asked you to go on a journey with me. Let's hear it for Wilmington. Where I asked you to go on a journey with me towards a new commitment that we were no longer the 15th district, but instead, one district, 5 beautiful, deserving communities. On that day, I asked you to become, say it with me, the 1-5. And we became the 1-5 on that day. And we work on it every day since. And we'll get there. We'll get there, and we're getting there. Tonight, we're getting closer. Because each of these beloved communities, Harbor Gateway, Harbor City, Wilmington, San Pedro, and Watts, has its unique qualities, challenges, and potential. It's more than a slogan. It's a way of responding to both needs and opportunities. And spending quality time with each of our communities over the past 10 months has been the greatest part of this job, hands down. It lifts me up, it inspires me, it fills me with pride just being able to represent you all. And the proof is in the numbers. As of today, I've attended at least 484 community events throughout the 1-5, just this year. To put that in perspective, the last time we counted, a little less than a month ago, at the State of the District in San Pedro, it was 432. Which means in the last month alone, I've participated with you in 52 different events. But actually, you probably all know it's more than that, because you've all seen me at some point over the last couple of years, driving by, pull my car in, pop into your event unannounced. Most of the time, my team has no idea, and they find out about it when I post one of the pictures, or you tag me in one of our selfies. And they say, "Where were you last night?" But being with you in community is at the heart of everything I do and want to do. It gives me a chance to hear directly from residents, from Lou Watson on the importance of protecting the character of Athens on the Hill, from Trish and Tim Tucker on racial understanding and harmony in Harbor City, from Shauna and Rick Cruz on rebuilding the business community on Avalon Boulevard in Wilmington. From Reverend Adam Stevenson on uplifting the San Pedro Black community. And from Donnie Jobert and the Watts Gang Task Force on the imperative to work for peace in Watts and throughout the entire 1-5. We have incredible community leaders. And I do want to call out one leader who I'm just so overwhelmed and surprised is here. Sweet Alice Harris is here. Sweet Alice. And I can't go through the room. I can go through the room and name every one of you, and just know that I love you all. We have incredible community leaders who bring residents together, which allows me the space and the opportunity to hear from you on your priorities, concerns, and your ideas for our district. Whether it's illegal dumping in our neighborhoods, accessing healthy food, helping small businesses, addressing homelessness and housing insecurity, public safety concerns, transportation issues, or basic city services like sidewalks, streets, or park improvements, I'm here to be the conduit between you and achieving our shared goal for the 1-5. Uplifting the quality of life in the 1-5 has been a top priority of mine and will continue to be, because it directly impacts the pride we feel and should feel about our community. Having clean streets and sidewalks is critically important. I'm grateful to our many volunteer community groups, including the Sisters of Watts, the Harbor Gateway Chamber, Harbor City Neighborhood Council, Mamas Unidas of Wilmington, and Central San Pedro Neighborhood Council's One Alley at a Time project, among many, 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 many others. They do cleanups in their neighborhoods and they beautify our public spaces. And I'm also thrilled to follow their example. This year, we put $1 million in our fiscal budget to kick off the Clean 15. The Clean 15 is a new team. It travels throughout the 1-5. It's been busy since late July, the new budget. As soon as we could get it up, we got it up. Picking up trash, abating illegal dumping, cutting back wild vegetation, and cleaning storm drains. To date, as of today, we've cleaned and picked up 459 tons of dumped trash in Watts. In Watts alone, 459 tons. 176 tons in Harbor Gateway. 74 tons in Harbor City. 694 tons in Wilmington, and 90 tons in San Pedro. So you guys can do the math. As of today, to date, the Clean 15 has picked up a total of 1,493 tons of trash, debris, and vegetation, and that's in a little less than 100 days. We have to work our way out of this business. We have to put ourselves in a position where this doesn't have to happen, but when it has to happen, it will happen. We're in this together. This is in addition, this Clean 15 is in addition to all of the work that our regular city crews do and our community groups do. The Clean 15 is hard at work on our streets, in our alleyways, on the train tracks, working to beautify this community, every community, and they're doing the work of other departments and jurisdictions. Because that's how much we care about this. Instead of waiting for Caltrans to do highways, pick up at their on-ramps and their off-ramps, or waiting for the railroads to do the train tracks, or sanitation to clean up an alley, the Clean 15 is there. And very often when we get there, the other agency shows up because they heard about it. And the quality of life, though, does mean different things in different communities. One example of this is in the Harbor Gateway and the underpasses. Freeway underpasses provide a particular challenge and a unique opportunity to invest in sustainable, creative alternatives to traditional lighting, to increase public safety, as well as deter illegal dumping and illegal activity. That's why I introduced a motion to instruct the Bureau of Street Lighting to report to the City Council on strategies to combat lighting deficiencies for the underpasses in the Harbor Gateway area, asking for staffing and to identify funding. Our team, in this same regard, has even instituted monthly night drives to identify light poles that are out throughout the 1-5 and to report them to that same bureau. It's important to me that our communities are made up of neighborhoods with local businesses and visitor-serving amenities, not ones that are plagued by abandoned buildings. The City of LA adopted a vacant building ordinance in 1999, declaring both vacant and unsecured or boarded up buildings as public nuisances. Yet, drive in any one of our communities and you can see an abandoned building, sometimes many, Recently, there have been an alarming number of vacant and unsecured or boarded up properties in the district that have led to public safety issues and ultimately deterrence to the surrounding quality of life. Which is why I introduced a motion looking to determine the number of abandoned or vacant building properties, the average length of time from the initial complaint that you or I make through the resolution of a nuisance at a property, the number of civil or criminal actions brought by the city attorney's office pursuant to nuisance abatement law, it's already on the books, and the resolution or status of such actions throughout the entire 1-5. This is a very important issue for us. We need to take care of the crime happening in these vacant buildings and create the atmosphere where we reopen them with good, healthy activity. Because whether it's a dark underpass or an abandoned building, we need to work together, uplifting the whole community to create a safe, thriving 1-5 that we can be proud of. Together, we can create more resilient neighborhoods filled with healthy, fresh, and affordable foods. Community gardens are collaborative projects on public spaces where neighbors can share in the maintenance and the products of that garden. And I know we have a lot of gardeners here tonight. These gardens offer physical health, mental health, and environmental benefits by providing opportunities to eat healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables, engage in physical activity, create green spaces, reduce food miles that are required to transport the food to us. Reduce those miles and that carbon footprint. And so much more than that. Which is why on my first day on council, I directed the Department of Recreation and Parks to identify space and report back with recommendations necessary to establish a community garden in Harbor City Park. And I'm going to support these gardens throughout the district. But from the soil to the market, we can build even more healthy neighborhoods. I'm also currently working with the Healthy Neighborhood Market Network, the Healthy Neighborhood Market Network, that's a mouthful, to ensure access for all Angelenos to get fresh produce and make it available within a half-mile of their residence. Many areas of the Harbor region and South Los Angeles are considered food deserts, with high concentration of corner markets, liquor stores, fast food restaurants, and a lack of supermarkets. We can empower small business owners in these areas to bring healthy food into our communities by increasing food access and supporting community and economic development. We can do this by providing store owners with training and guidance, as well as capital, to upgrade their stores, to transform these local markets, these corner stores, into reliable sources of healthy and affordable food. I was able to check out the very first participant in Watts of this Healthy Neighborhood Market Network. It's El Torito Market. You may know it. It's right by San Miguel Church. Owned and operated by the Pasillas family. This market has been a fixture in Watts for over 30 years. El Torito accepts EBT and WIC and hosts a full-service meat and deli counter and a wide variety of fresh produce, groceries, and household items. They are in the first year of a multi-year program, and they are working with the network to develop a logo and a brand that can be used for local and in-store marketing and advertising. We need to do this store after store after store, and we will with your support. Businesses like this can uplift a neighborhood, which is also why I introduced a motion to expand this district throughout the district, especially in the qualifying areas of our district, Harbor City and Watts. We have, as you know, many great businesses in the 1-5, but I also see a lot of unrealized potential. In the city of LA, we have a program called the Jobs and Economic Development Incentive Zones, known as the JEDI Zones. A JEDI zone establishes an opportunity for the city to invest in our business community, to put grants and resources to work to improve selected business corridors. We have two JEDI zones in the 1-5, one in Wilmington on Avalon Boulevard, and one in Watts on Wilmington Avenue. And I recently introduced a motion to implement a brand new Jedi zone in San Pedro on Pacific Avenue. We would become the only district in the city with 3 such zones. And these zones can uplift this area, each area, and each other. Through the Jedi zones, we can revitalize Avalon, Pacific, and Wilmington, give mom and pop startups support to get a brick and mortar, and help existing businesses renew their facades to be more inviting and successful. Just this month, I took a tour of businesses in the current Wilmington and Watts Jedi zones. I was able to see the ways in which the program worked and the ways that it could be improved. My team will work to make this Jedi zone program something that actually delivers for us. But let's be honest with each other. We have to recognize the unique challenges of starting and building a business in Los Angeles. From expensive retail space, to staffing, to difficult regulatory compliance, it is tough. It is tough to start a business and it's tough to survive, which is why we brought a new business source center to Watts. Business source centers are great. They provide education, resources, and expertise for local entrepreneurs and startups right in our own communities. We have a very successful center in San Pedro, and now we've added one in Watts. The new center, the new one in Watts, is housed in the Children's Institute, and it's available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. But building a healthy local economy requires more than just business support. It requires good, safe, affordable housing for all of our residents. I know we all greatly care about our homelessness crisis, and that requires us to help both our unhoused neighbors to get inside, as well as to keep roofs over the heads of those who are housed today. That is why I acted in the Budget Committee to increase tenant rental assistance and to provide direct assistance to mom and pop landlords. We need to keep people in the homes they have and keep local landlords in the rental business. As the COVID-19 local emergency sunsets, I was proud to vote for just cause eviction protection, providing tenants living in the over 1 million rental units in the city of Los Angeles with significant expansion to renter protections. We recently completed another round of emergency rental assistance at the city, providing up to 6 months of rental arrears to low-income residential tenants. And while we need to help our renters, we also need to do more to assist mom and pop housing providers who have faced years of financial uncertainty, debt, and personal hardship while keeping vulnerable tenants housed throughout the pandemic. I introduced a motion during the budget process that was approved by the City Council so that mom and pop landlords with 12 units or less can apply also for rental assistance. Beginning in just 5 days from now, on October 23rd at 8 a.m., these small landlord providers can file applications. Landlords can go to the Housing Department website to apply. It's just very crucial that we keep mom and pops in the rental business, making sure that they can stay in the business and not have to sell their units to some major corporation. It's better to have our neighbors be the landlords. But we need to do more. Our communities need to prepare for the future by continuing to build all types of housing, including permanent supportive and affordable units. Without this, rents will continue to rise. Residents will be forced out, and our community will not be the same. I ran on calling for a more focused, coordinated, and proactive approach to addressing homelessness. Mayor Bass declared a state of emergency and used that power to streamline new construction and speed up our homelessness responses. Mayor Bass has made addressing the crisis a central focus of her administration. I support her efforts, and I'm grateful to her for working with us on 3 inside safe operations in the 1-5. I'm advocating for more because we need more, and we are ready, willing, and able to do more inside safe operations. And one more challenge ahead of us in addressing one more challenge that is ahead of us is addressing the RVs on our streets, right? We all know the RVs on the streets. There is an urgent need to confront and address the crisis of these oversized vehicle dwellings in our city, which has created a host of impacts, including illegal dumping and potential crime and fire risks. I want you to know that my team and I recognize this is our next big hurdle. We need to do this to continue to confront the crisis of homelessness and get people inside. We've been all around the district trying to house people from these RVs with a fair amount of success. But it's much too large of a problem for my team to handle alone. I will work with the City Council, the Mayor, and with the Board of Supervisors in a coordinated effort to house these individuals and to clear our streets of these RVs, especially in our residential areas. As you might have noticed, this past year's budget debate and budget itself stressed two major commitments: addressing homelessness and advancing public safety. Whether it's a fully staffed police force or fairly compensating our community safety ambassadors, the most important thing is that residents feel safe. To me, safety means that you don't have to experience a flash rob in the Nike store, that you can get in and out of your car without a confrontation, or that you can enjoy the neighborhood park without fear. Our public safety employees' ranks have been diminished over time, and today we currently have fewer LAPD officers on the force than at any time in the last 20 years. Thinning our ranks harms our public safety response. First, in my role on the Budget Committee, I work to craft an aggressive, responsible funding plan to allow for 13 hiring classes of 60 recruits to join the LAPD this year. But second, it is really tough to hire police officers. It's a difficult job, and we are competing with agencies across the country for applicants. And not everyone should be a police officer. We need to carefully review and train officers. So it is hard to meet these two goals. So to make LA competitive, I was able to help negotiate an agreement in the Executive Employee Relations Committee that will allow the city to turn the corner on hiring. That committee, which is made up of 4 council members, including myself, and the mayor, work together to address our shared goal of recruitment and retention by increasing starting salaries and incentivizing newer officers to stay on the job through their veteran years. At the same time, we also know that the police are not trained or appropriate to address every single crisis and issue that we face. And we too often call on police officers to attend to crises that are better handled by other trained professionals. The current moment we face with policing in our cities has proven that we must make a change in how completely local governments have depended upon sworn law enforcement. Over many years now, the City of Los Angeles has developed several pilot programs related to unarmed crisis response. This City Council has shown a concerted effort in seeing unarmed crisis response formalized as a permanent fixture and an alternative to traditional policing. That's why I introduced a motion to analyze these various methods of unarmed crisis response and provide recommendations on building out and funding these programs under a coordinated office. A coordinated response, instead of multiple pilot programs operating in silos, can help us realize this goal. I also introduced a motion to make sure that unarmed response providers can seamlessly respond to 911 calls. When you call 911, you should be transferred automatically to an unarmed responder if that's what the situation calls for. You shouldn't have to know of or ask for a specific program. And just that, will require more operators, more training. But while we're on the topic of public safety, I also want to discuss with you a motion I introduced that is incredibly important to me. A call to reform the discipline system and increase the accountability for police misconduct. To do this, we will need to reform and repeal the All-Civilian Board of Rights, where today over 75% of disciplinary hearings result in less punishment than was recommended by the Chief of Police. One of the primary objectives of Measure C, and that was the ballot initiative which allowed officers the option to choose an all-civilian disciplinary board of rights, one of its objectives was to increase officer accountability. However, in practice, it has not achieved that goal. We need to take the lessons learned and implement process improvements to the Board of Rights. We need to adopt a menu of options, which I've laid out in my motion, to pave the way in how we comprehensively fix a broken system. Reform is necessary, and we want to use every tool to get this right. In addition to reforming these boards, another option to increase accountability would be to give authority to the Chief of Police to immediately fire officers in the most egregious cases. That does not exist today. And good police reform folks and good police officers all agree, in egregious cases, the chief should be able to fire. These fixes will require charter amendments, which I want to set for a future ballot. So I look forward to discussing this with you more as we proceed toward that day. Well, in order to do everything we've planned for the 1-5, we need the resources and especially the personnel to do it. And this city is currently suffering from a shortage of city workers and high department vacancies. City jobs are good jobs with benefits, but if we need to make working for the city more attractive with incentives, that's exactly what we're going to do. When you join the city council, when you get on the city council, leadership will ask you what committees and issues you're interested in. I had a number of areas, but from the jump, I asked for personnel matters and to be able to address the vacancies facing our city's workforce and facing our constituents who depend upon folks to provide those services. I'm honored to chair the Personnel Committee, and I'm working on a number of ways to fill our vacancies throughout the city, and particularly fill it with 1-5 residents. To date, we've held 2 career fairs in the 1-5, with another one just next Thursday in East Wilmington at Holy Family Church from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So please tell your family, your friends, your neighbors, they are all invited to attend an interview at Holy Family for a good city job. We've arranged to bring state, county, city, and private employers to these career fairs, to each of the career fairs we've done, so that 1-5 residents can find and build careers in the community that they love. We also need to open the door and help residents get the career they want, but a career which may be out of reach today. Your past shouldn't dictate your future, but tragically it does for many Americans, for many Angelenos, for many residents of the 1-5. This is why later this year, I'm going to host an expungement clinic in the 1-5. And I hope to support many more clinics, many more expungement clinics, because the need is really great. If you've been justice involved, if you have a record, it can impact your ability to get a job, to apply for credit, or get a loan. Having a record should not mean that you have limited options. People make mistakes, pay their debts to society, and negative impacts should not follow them for the rest of their lives. While we're on the subject of jobs, I want to move on to the most significant provider of jobs in our district, the Port of LA. All right, the port gets an applause. As we sit here today in Watts, as we're sitting in Watts, I recognize how far away the port feels to us, but it really is omnipresent. It is a part of our everyday lives. And if operations are implemented in the 1-5 way, the port complex could not only uplift the harbor area, but our entire district, because the success of the port is vitally important to our entire city. The port is directly responsible for 1 in 13 jobs in all of Los Angeles, and that is a lot of economic activity. And I'm honored that Gene Soroka, the executive director of our port, is right here with Augie Bezmalinovich, one of his guys, and Arlie Baker. So the port is in the house. We see evidence, both good and bad, of port activity, especially in the rail and the truck traffic through our communities. This is most evident over the Vincent Thomas Bridge in the LA Harbor. The bridge currently handles a daily traffic load of 53,000 vehicles, with 8.8% of those vehicles, or more than 4,600 trips, being heavy trucks. A significant and growing concern to us, especially in the harbor area, is that the proposed deck replacement project due to the rapidly deteriorating surface of the bridge. While that replacement of the bridge deck is absolutely necessary, I'm very concerned about the air and the traffic impacts this redecking project will have. Detour traffic will be immense, and Wilmington currently suffers an undue burden of truck traffic. With the bridge closure and the proposed detour routes, it will only get worse. After I met with Caltrans on this project, the state accepted my requests, which is a nice way of saying demands, including creating a community advisory committee to get feedback to minimize construction impacts on adjacent communities. That committee will be crucial in making sure Caltrans hears our voices. We must stay vigilant on our environmental impact report comments and ensure that mitigations on the project go to repair and replace infrastructure in our area. Because we know that living by the harbor has both significant economic benefits and serious environmental detriments. And the experience of that runs from Watts to the water. It is through the district, I know that. The ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach are the largest in the nation and often described as the single greatest fixed source of air pollution in Southern California. And while the port has been implementing new programs to reduce the environmental impacts and doing more than any other port complex in the country, the neighboring communities continue to bear the brunt of environmental harms. We must take action, continue to take action, to preserve and protect our environment and to combat the climate crisis facing our globe. However, it's critical that we do so with our workers and our local economy in mind. This means ensuring that the green technologies and all the innovations are advanced to the benefit of workers and not to their exclusion. Clean air and good jobs are not mutually exclusive. Anywhere in our communities. Currently, the South Coast Air Quality Management District, AQMD, is considering a proposed indirect source rule called the ISR that could limit the import and export of goods from the Port of Los Angeles. Limiting or diverting cargo would have a direct negative impact on jobs and economic activity throughout the region, certainly throughout the 1-5. And let me repeat, clean air and good jobs are not mutually exclusive. And to prove that point, I'm committed to working with the mayor, my council colleagues, and the AQMD to ensure that we protect both the environment and our local economy. And the entire built environment of the 1-5, not just the port, but the entire built environment must be designed and maintained to consider the quality of life for all of us. And that certainly includes our streets and highways. For example, before I came into office, the LA Department of Transportation was in the process of implementing a number of changes on Anaheim Street in Wilmington with the goal of improving traffic safety and connectivity. Good goals. These changes included removing one travel lane in each direction, curb extensions with paint and plastic bollards, removing parking on some stretches of the street, and a new protected bike lane and more. It was a road diet, similar to others throughout the district. I have heard over the past year concern about the traffic and congestion impacts these changes have made, which is why on the first day in council, I introduced a motion to have the Department of Transportation report specifically on the effects of these measures on Anaheim, both positive and negative. The department has been rolling out individual street modifications in sequence over the past year, so we won't be able to see fully yet the effects, but your concerns are important to me. Most importantly, if the modifications don't meet the safety goals and if they don't work for the community, I'm ready to make adjustments. There are so many examples of traffic fixes, sidewalk repairs, alley and street needs that we are working on throughout the district. Too many to mention. Whether it's implementing a left-hand turn lane on 242nd by Narbonne, repaving in the one-ways. Yeah, let's hear it for Narbonne. Narbonne High. Repaving in the one-ways, or installing a Hawk-activated crosswalk for pedestrians on Imperial to get from one side of the community farm to the other. It's really important that residents see improvements, feel safe, and respected as they travel through the district, whether you're a resident or a visitor. So friends, these are just a small sampling of the many projects, policies, and initiatives that we are pursuing in the 1-5. I wanted especially to take this moment to gather all corners of the 1-5 together. Many of you have attended my town halls. We've done, 10 town halls. And you know that I could go on for hours talking specifically about your community. Thankfully, I won't do that to you tonight. I get a clap for that. We've done a lot of great work to start, but there's so much more work to do. But truly, I couldn't do this work without the hard work of our team. I want to thank all of my staff for embracing the 1-5 mentality and deeply caring about our communities. And I want you, our communities, to thank this great staff now. And I want to thank you for buying into the 1-5.
Thank you.
Thank you, sweet. Because for the 1-5 to thrive, we need to uplift each other, and in doing so, we uplift ourselves. And I will always believe and fight for the proposition that we are stronger together. So thank you, and God bless you.